The road to Battleground is a long and lengthy road that has straight road, sideways roads, crooked roads, that has happiness, sadness, hatred, compassion, all that kind of stuff. I just had to come up with something because it kind of sounded kind of cool. And I tried it once. I tried this early and I fucked up. I thought I had it so right, saying Battleground. It had all those things, but then when I started getting to the show, I botch it. Sometimes it doesn't pay to try and be flairful. Sometimes if you're just straight, you just do it. But you also want to be a little flairful once in a while. Guys, if anyone is thinking I'm doing what I'm doing, I'm saying this right now. I'm not like everybody else. I'm not like some of those guys that want to be totally successful and not teach anybody anything. I'm sorry. If there was a way for me to be successful in this, the hell I'm not going to tell people what I do. I am going to tell them what I'm going to do. And if they get bigger than me, I don't give a damn. Because I'm the type of person that cares about people. I want to see them succeed. And if I ever did become successful at this and actually was able to make some money that being disabled would be kind of nice, I would tell people what I do. Why would I keep it a secret? And why would I not try and encourage people to do other stuff? That's just not me. But taken away from that, what do we have here? This is the road to Battleground. That's what I think I may just use for the title. Because when you see this road, it's well being built. It's been thought out, but I'm not going to tell you it's perfect. You got people there that really don't feel like they belong there, but they're trying to be built into that. You got people that are already there, and you got people who look like they should be moving on to the main roster, and they probably won't move on until next year. But you can see the progression. I'm not saying it's a perfect progression, but it is there. Now, I want to say this. When you watch the show, you can see Triple H's influence on Shawn Michaels' product. When you see how the cuts are done for the vignettes, when you see how the vid packs are being done, it is obvious they're trying to make a cohesive show across all of them, when they're going to have the same type of vignettes, the same type of video packages, the same type of way that talent is supposed to act in front of the camera. That is the way they're trying to make it very cohesive. Now, I want to say that is actually a good thing when it comes to promotion. That's doesn't matter if it's big or small. Sorry, I got my allergies. When you see something like that, it shows from the top to the bottom. It is being constructed so when people go to a more higher level, they won't have to struggle. What happened with Vince? Vince did not make it good for them when they came to the main roster. They literally got torn apart by Vince unless he really liked them or unless their parent made sure they got what they needed. Ergo, what happened with Dominic? Dominic should have never been put on the main roster. No matter how successful he is right now, he should have went to NXT and built himself up onto the main roster instead of him staying with Ray. That shows you that Ray made it clear, I want my son on the main roster with me. I don't care if he's not ready. I'll make him ready on the main roster. And he shouldn't have done that. That's wrong. Yeah. One match I remember in particular that Dom had to get beat to hell to prove that he deserves to be there. But he should never have been there in the first place. I'm just saying. Opening is for the North American Championship for the women. We had Izzy Dane versus Sol Ruka. Now, the vid pack for Sol Ruka was done well. Izzy Dane's wasn't too... I think she didn't have much of a vid pack. No, she didn't. It was Sol Ruka. And I expected when I saw her vid pack, that means she might win or something might be screwy and she won't win because of some type of outside interference. Either one or the other. But when you look at Sol Ruka and Izzy Dane, I'm going to be honest here. I really like Sol Ruka. I do. She's a beautiful woman. She has something. But due to the fact that she's still very gymnastically inclined more than wrestling inclined, I'm still not 100% behind her. But I am behind her because I can tell if she cranks back a little bit more on the gymnastic ability, she would be a lot more neater as a pro wrestler. Not saying she's got to be like this. Here's gymnastic, here's pro wrestling. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying she's here. This is wrestling. Just a little bit more. Just a little bit closer. Where she'll do a little more pro wrestling and slightly less gymnastics. Not telling you that she's not a damn good gymnast. She is. I'm telling you, this is what I was thinking while I was watching the match between her and Izzy Dane. When Charlotte comes back and she runs into Soluka, you're going to see a stark difference from an Ashley, who I'm not saying isn't a bad wrestler. As I've always said about Charlotte, Ashley, she's a good wrestler that can get herself over, but she cannot get her father over like her father. She just cannot get over like her father, because he was able to get himself over with someone else. He could get a broomstick over along with himself, and the people would cheer their asses off. Why is this so dumb? There you go. He could do that, but Charlotte can't. And when you look at Soluka, who you could say is a way better version of Charlotte when it comes to athletically being inclined, because she is. It's not just because she's younger than Charlotte. This is not about age. It's about her athleticism compared to Charlotte. Charlotte has tried to be very athletic with all her work. But when you meet someone who is very similar to Charlotte, look at Soluka. She's as thin-shaped as Charlotte. Only difference is Charlotte got a breast job. She is a blonde like Charlotte. She is very athletic like Charlotte. But unlike Charlotte, who did do multiple different types of sports, I do believe she did more than just softball. She also did several, I think she did also soccer. I can't remember. But she did play different sports. So she is more than just one sport inclined. So that's a good thing for her. But you're seeing Charlotte as she is, trying to be as athletic as she can, throwing in gymnastic work. And when you see against Soluka, who's literally the same shape as her, only difference is Soluka's breasts are smaller than Charlotte's because she didn't get breast implants. You got a mirror image of Charlotte. And the difference between Charlotte and Soluka is that Soluka doesn't have a father who is one of the most greatest pro wrestlers in history. There's the difference. When they meet each other, and they probably one day will meet, you will see Soluka, you will see Charlotte, and you will see that Charlotte is not the greatest of all time. You're going to see that she's a good wrestler that can get herself over, but can't get someone else over. And you're going to see Soluka, when she finally develops, as a good pro wrestler who is more athletically inclined when it comes to gymnastics than Charlotte, and who, counting on when she finally progresses and meets Charlotte, will maybe either be on par with Charlotte when it comes to wrestling skill, or slightly under her. And you're not going to be able to tell the difference. I'm telling you right now, their styles will be different, but the way they work the match, you will see will be very similar. And then you will understand what I've said for years. Charlotte is not the best. She's a good wrestler that gets herself over, but cannot get anybody else over with her. That person's got to get themselves over. Let's move on. Soluka won. All right. Out the Mud versus Blade and Ofemi. Ufi. There you go. Ifi or Ufi. I always forget Ifi or Ufi's last name. It's always so hard to pronounce it. But when I saw Out the Mud, I'm going like, why am I thinking Out the Mud is missing something? And then I noticed, where's Scripps? What happened to Scripps? Is he been released, or is he just hurt, or just wasn't able to appear? I don't know which one. You can tell me below if he's been released, because we know that more people have been released from WWE. Guys, I'm telling you right now, WWE has released more people. I think another 6 or 7 people easily. And I don't know if Scripps is one of them, but they released more people. And if Scripps is gone, I'm not too surprised. But when you see this match, you got Out the Mud, who has been booked pretty well, compared to these two guys. The only interest that we had was Miss Parker and Reese, not Reese's. I'm saying Reese's Peanut Butter Cup. She's a Peanut Butter Cup. Reese basically fighting each other because they're going to be North American Championship quarterfinals eventually. So this is what we got. So after month one, I'm not surprised. Now, Lash Legends versus Ivy Nile. Now, she's on the main roster compared to being on NXT. I did not expect Ivy Nile to win here. She's not meant to win. But due to the fact that Nolan Dar got attacked in the very opening of the show, we now know that something's going on. Someone's beating up on everybody. Of course, we found out later who it is. But then one did Trick Williams do it? And Lash is saying, Trick did not do this. Trick would not do something like this. And she was torn about that and upset. So when she went to this match, she was trying to show that when you got a little bit of Miss Jackson by her side. And let me ask you a question. When was the last time, what was the name? Kiana Jackson. I'm forgetting her name because I don't really think about her much. She's just there to suck on a sucker and walk around and look cute. I have not seen her wrestle in months. I understand she had a broken wrist and she couldn't wrestle before. But why isn't she wrestling? Is she now become a manager? I'm wondering if she's hurt again or is she a manager? Because I haven't seen her wrestle in a long time. And to be honest, if she's going to become a manager, I'm fine with that. I'm just hoping that we get that more defined. Because she came out with Lash because Nolan Dar was not there. And basically, more... I'll get to him in a minute. I'll get to the last member of Metaphor in a minute. But Lash does win. I'm not surprised. She's one of the most dominant women on NXT at this moment. I'm not expecting her to lose here. She should not be losing. Do I agree with her character? No. But due to the fact she is working with Trick Williams as well, that has improved her character because her character really wasn't that good. If she hadn't been working with Trick, I would not care as much as I do now. And there's not a lot I care about her, but seeing she is working with Trick Williams along with Metaphor, and that she's in a storyline where she's having a relationship with Trick, but she's being loyal to Metaphor, there is something there that can at least see if she can develop as a character and as a pro wrestler. Moving on. Alright, Levon Evans versus Mensa. Here's the boy I was about to talk about. I'm going to tell you this. Evans won. And Lash was out there, and that's when Trick Williams tried to stop her from throwing a chair to Mensa to try and nail a Levon Evans. But I'm going to tell you the truth right now. And I'm going to say this truthfully. With no bias, no disrespect. When you look at Levon Evans, there's nothing there. Hearing him screaming, I'm bouncy, means nothing. If anybody likes Levon Evans, more power to you. But if you evaluate him for what he really is, he has nothing. Right now, you have 6 wrestlers who does what he does, and 3 of them, or 4 of them, does it better. You got the Return Wesley. You got Nathan Frazier. You got Axiom. You got Nolan Dar. Think about it. I can keep going because there are more people to go. You got Mensa himself, but then you got Evans. And he is literally the lowest one there. And he doesn't feel like anything different from the others. The difference between when it comes to Evans compared to everyone else is that he has no character. All he has is moves. Now, are his moves bad? Yes. I'm going to tell you the truth. As a 20-year-old who's been wrestling maybe about a year or two, he's still sloppy. I have seen high flyers. I watched Will Ospreay before he went to AEW a couple of times. So I know what he looks like. I saw the match between him and Ricochet before he went over to NXT. Okay? I've seen many different luchadors as well as Japanese high-flying wrestlers. Hell, most of them go over to Impact Wrestling. So I've seen Laredo Kid. I've seen Dark Taurus, the Motor City Machine Guns, Trey Miguel, Wentz. All those guys compared to basically Von Evans puts him from everyone's kind of getting hype about him. I see him for what he is. He's here. He has a lot of work to do to go beyond just doing the moves, because as I said more than a few times, guys, it's not about being as flashy as you can and being the match. It's about relevancy. I've always said this more than a few times. What do you want to be as a pro wrestler? And I'm telling you, this is what fans don't understand. What do wrestlers really want? Do they want to just make the biggest money and make the greatest, flashiest match? Not totally. The one thing they want more than anything else, relevancy. Just having a great match means anything to a fan. But when we look at a wrestler, they want to be relevant. They can have one of the greatest matches that can be thought of, but they want to know that when that match happened, there was a reason behind it. Because you can remember the best matches throughout history, but a lot of times they're going to remember the match for what it was, not just for a match. People just don't understand that. That's what I try to tell people, that yes, matches mean something. You can make a story with a match, but there's only a certain time you can just keep that up for so long. If all you do are matches and you literally don't ever change and you never get anywhere, you can have some of the greatest matches wrestling's ever known, but will you always be remembered for anything else? No. The Undertaker's remembered because of not just the matches he did, because of the great work he did when he had to lead into that match, and when he went out of it. This is what people don't really understand. Relevancy means more than anything than having one of the best matches, because you're going to be remembered beyond the match. You don't want to just be remembered for a damn match. Moving on. When we get to the next match, OC versus... Here's where it gets interesting. Rich Holland and, well, Riley Osborne of Chase U didn't trust. Right, he just didn't feel something with Rich. But Rich wants to prove to Chase U that he is a good guy. He's an alright guy. So guess what? They had this match against the OC, which they lost due to the fact that Riley made a mistake in the match, which he fessed up to. He said, I'm sorry, that's my bad. But Rich says, look, I got no ill will. There ain't nothing here. I just want you to see that I'm not against you. I'm not a bad guy. So he managed to shake his hand, even though Thea gave him a big ass hug, because, as Rich said, he reminds him, well, Thea's like a kid to him, a daughter. That's what he's thinking. And it looks like they're trying to align him with Chase U. Since now Chase U is basically pretty much done, at least at the point where it's gone through a story arc of being really bad, going back up, and now they're here. They were here, then they went down, then they went up, and they're right here. The question is going to be, what are they going to do next with Chase U? How far are they going to go with this now with Rich Holland? I don't know. But it is something that's good for Rich, and it is good, hopefully be something that will progress him to either becoming the monster that Sean Spears wants, or at least progress him some point where, I don't know what, because the only thing that's going to make sense is he's going to descend into madness and become the evil person he's supposed to be, loving violence, because there ain't nowhere else to go. Let's move on. Bright versus Lola Vice. You guys know who's going to lose. You know who's going to win. Now, I'm not against Bright, but I didn't see anything that was going to really mean anything yet. This will be like the first time she's been on the main roster NXT being seen. She's got a lot of work to do. It's alright with me. At least they did develop her, letting her have this match. But the question is what they're going to do with it next. Now, the segment with everybody in North American Championship title scene, pretty much. Obafemi, Wesley, Briggs, and Ibar. All four of them being there, and all four of them wanting a shot at Obafemi. And I will tell you this, seeing that Wesley was legitimately getting emotional, because let's make this clear, Wes had the same injury as Ibar did. He was gone and came back. And he even said it himself, because he shouted out the same doctor that both of them went to. But seeing Wes that emotional, that meant something to me personally. Look, I had watched Desmond Xavier since, 2017? Easily. If I can remember, 16, 17, I think it's 17. when the Rascals started. I can't remember when. It could have been 17 or 18. It's been a while since I've seen the Rascals. And I can tell you, before he joined, when he went into Impact Wrestling, I said it in my videos. Every video I saw Desmond Xavier, I said there was something about him. There is something special about Desmond. It's not just about the work he does in the ring. It's very rare I care about a high flyer. There's only two I ever care about. Two. That's Pac and that's him. It's going to be these two wrestlers. There's something about both of them when they're not wrestling and when they wrestle that means something. It's about their personality outside and inside the ring. And I'm telling you, he's one of those people. And seeing how emotional he was saying that I wanted to come back here. I love you guys. I really truly felt that I wasn't coming back. This is the same line everyone gives when they come back from an injury. That's not a problem. That's not a lie. But seeing when a wrestler actually feeds into the character. Understand, this is what people don't get. When a wrestler feeds into what's really happened to them, it makes them more legitimate. It makes it feel more organic. And it makes you want to be invested in them more than just being in a match. This is one of the reasons why pro wrestling has a up on amateur wrestling. Amateur wrestling, as Kurt Angle, he said himself when he went to Chris Van Vliet's own podcast, he told him it was hard for me, very hard for me to get into pro wrestling because of the training from amateur wrestling. Because we're not supposed to show any emotion. Like that. No emotion, emotionless, to give your opponent nothing. It was difficult to get into it. So this is what makes pro wrestling so special. It's not just what you get in the ring. It's what you get from the wrestler when they're not in the ring or when they're in the ring when they're not wrestling. Emotion. That is what human beings feed off of, either in a positive or negative way. Once we get everybody in the entire mix, Oba just basically said, you want a shot? Fight amongst yourself. Whoever wins, I take on. So probably by Battleground, we're going to go through them all. One of them is, they probably have a triple threat. I would rather see them all go against one another, but we're so close to, well, Battleground won't start until the 9th. So we got a couple of weeks. We could actually have a match for each of them. For the this coming week and the week after that, we could have a match between them. So that wouldn't be a bad thing. Two of them have a match. The other two have a match. Whoever wins both, the final match, there you go. It could be like that, but I doubt it's going to be that way. It'll be a triple threat. Final Heritage Cup. We get Charlie Dempsey, who is the current Heritage Cup champ. Bourne was not there because he was taken away along with Kemp by the family last week. And then this week he's by himself and he's got to face a D'Angelo De Niro in the ring. First round, pretty much Tony wins. Third round, Charlie wins. And the second and fourth round, they were tied. It was a good match. I'm not going to tell you it wasn't. The story here was Charlie was by himself out in the water. He's out in deep water by himself. This is the first time that he had to be in the deep water when there was something on the line where he had to be clinch or not. Can he get it in the clinch? And in this situation, once finally Kemp and Bourne finally show up, they couldn't help him win. And he lost, and now Tony D'Angelo, who was owed something by the No Quarter Catch crew, wins the title of the Heritage Cup champion. Now his name's on that cup. Here's the big question. What are they going to do with it now? Now, I'm not going to say they're going to turn into an actual title. I'm glad they're not, because it's differentiating itself from Raw and SmackDown. Having a very unique match with a unique championship makes NXT different. Is it always great? No. But it is something different that makes NXT unique. And that's what I'm glad about when it comes to NXT compared to Raw and SmackDown, which basically are still mirror images of each other. You got Raw, who really doesn't have anything really differentiating itself except for the bloodline. And when it comes to, well, I take that back. SmackDown has a bloodline in it. Because I was thinking about Jey Uso, who is the true tribal chief. If you didn't see my video yesterday for Raw and me talking about him being tribal chief, take a look at it. But you look at SmackDown, it is the Bloodline with Cody on it. Then you look at Raw, it's the Judgment Day. But what is really different about both brands? Not much at all. There's nothing really a special thing for each one of them that makes them feel really special. There's just nothing there. They need something extra for at least one of the brands that is unique, like NXT, that will make it so special. You're going to want to just, as a fan, you got 3 options for WWE TKO. You have NXT, which has the World Championship, the North American Championship, and the Heritage Cup. You got SmackDown, which has what? The US Championship and the Undisputed World Heavyweight Championship. And you got Raw, which has the World Champion, the Undisputed WWE World Heavyweight Champion, and the World Heavyweight Champion, and the IC Championship. That's it. They basically mirror each other. There's nothing special about either one of the brands yet. The question, will there ever be? I don't know. Probably not, but it's just me. Peace.